Elon Musk has long been revered as a pioneer in the tech and innovation space. His industry-shifting companies like Tesla and SpaceX, and acquisition of then Twitter, which he soon rebranded to X, have kept his name at the forefront. While Musk's impact in these industries has amassed to great significance spanning over more than 2 decades, his recent appointment by Donald Trump has ballooned his influence in the political sector in mere months. Despite his initial, less than favorable critiques of Donald Trump in the past, his frequent appearances alongside President Donald Trump are now regular. It brings to the surface the questions of how much power does Elon have in the government, and how far does his influence in the newly established Department of Government Efficiency reach?
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw!
My name's Seth McLaughlin. I'm a national politics reporter with the Washington Times. So what is Doge's goal and what do they actually do? The goal, at least originally stated, dismantle the federal bureaucracy and find waste, fraud, and abuse in it. And President Trump initially tapped Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk to lead the effort. Months later now, it is Elon Musk who is acting as a quote-unquote senior advisor. And the stated goal, as far as the price tag, initially started out at $2 trillion, $2 trillion limited from the federal deficit each year. But now it has been reduced to $1 trillion, which makes it, I think, a little bit more realistic.
One of the prime targets in Doge's crosshairs is the United States Agency for International Development. Mr. Musk dropped a bombshell saying that USAID, which has a $40 billion budget, was beyond repair, and that Mr. Trump had agreed to close its doors. The agency provided more than 40% of all humanitarian aid tracked by the United Nations last year. More recently, the agency's spending has been eyed with skepticism as potential recipients of USAID funding have been made more public.
The USAID, the U.S. Agency for International Development, has sort of become the poster child for Doge's efforts, at least early on here, when it comes to spending, because they can point to things in the budget or in USAID grants or whatever it is, where money has been spent on things that, again, I think if you're the average Joe, you might look at least on the surface, and say, why in the world this money has gone here or gone there? Now, of course, there are people within USAID who say that, that the conversation has been warped in a way that doesn't reflect reality and whatnot. But this is the rhetorical battle and the PR battle that I'm talking about over spending, that at this point, Musk, Trump, and Doge seem to have the upper hand on. Now, as far as the pushback from Democrats saying that they don't have that they're violating the law or they're running, roughshod over the Constitution, I mean, the thing Doge is definitely barreling ahead on is they seem to welcome any sort of legal or constitutional challenge at this point. The best way for anyone to think about Doge at the minute is to think of it as a public relations push. Musk has the Twitter platform. He also doesn't have to answer to anyone in the world as the world's richest man. It kind of untangles you from concerns about who you might tick off. And he's able to take the things that Doge finds in this sort of PR battle that I'm talking about and share them with the world. I am no lawyer here, but I think the basic findings have been that the executive branch has a lot of power, and Trump has doled out that power in this instance to Doge and to listening to Elon.
Mr. Trump relies on social media to circumvent traditional news media and wants his new Department of Government Efficiency to follow suit. President Ronald Reagan's Grace Commission faced difficulty promoting its effort to regulate government spending. When the Grace Commission was operating in the 1980s, small government advocates relied on direct mail and grassroots organizations, lobbying Congress to advance the debate. With Elon Musk at the head of X, he is able to speak the beliefs and directives founded by Trump on what may be the nation's biggest virtual megaphone.
I think a lot of that is politics at play. Describing Musk as the co-president of the presidency, their rhetorical attempts to kind of maybe raise alarms amongst the general public that, he's up to no good. I think there's probably a little bit of, kniving also to try to get Trump, who obviously does not like to play second fiddle to anyone, to start thinking that Musk might be, overshadowing him in some way, shape, or form. As far as what Musk's role actually is, I mean, Trump did initially state that he was the leader of this group. They recently dialed this back a little bit in court documents where he was named a senior advisor to Trump. In my mind, I don't know whether it truly makes a difference at this point. This is something other people have done. President Biden did this with Anita Dunn, who was a top advisor to him in the White House. Administrations have done this in the past. The Trump administration is doing it, and in a way, it shouldn't be a shock to everyone.
Mr. Musk isn't even technically part of the U.S. Department of Government Efficiency, the department said. He is an employee of the White House. Elon Musk doesn't have independent powers to fire anyone from federal agencies, the Justice Department has told a federal judge, shooting down some of critics' more fantastical theories about the head of President Trump's effort to remake the bureaucracy. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said on Fox News that, while Mr. Musk is considered a special government employee, he is still overseeing DOGE on behalf of the president.
This is a guy who has created these companies that are really breaking the mold in futuristic ways, right? He talks about going to Mars, and he has shuttles that are shooting out into space, and people are mesmerized by it getting caught on the way back down to Earth, right? So we haven't had anyone do that before. Now, whether or not that translates over into a project like this, where probably at the end of the day, you're going to have to work with Congress in order to get cuts done. Super vital and important to understand most federal spending that they are getting at right now does not drive the vast amount of federal spending. The vast amount of federal spending on programs like Social Security and Medicare, which at the end of the day will require congressional action. So Elon has proven that he can do things that others can't. But, this is going to be a very unique challenge for him to fulfill his promise of reaching that $1 trillion goal. But at the same time, I think he already has shown success, again, in this broader idea of winning the public relations battle over just showing people across the country examples of what they see as bad spending and letting them mull that over in their minds.